broadcasting alive from the Green Room Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. It's the At Home Show with Josh Carey and David Bates, celebrating 25 years of home and garden wisdom. Without further ado, your hosts, Josh Carey and David Bates.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. It's Saturday morning. It's time for the At Home Show. I'm Josh Carey.
And I'm David Bates.
Hey, we got a cast of thousands in studio today, David Bates.
Yeah, we've got some a little tweak the first time in this particular arrangement. And we'll get into that arrangement here in just a moment.
But you know what?
But first,
it's going to be beautiful this weekend.
It absolutely is going to be beautiful this weekend. Matter of fact, the beautiful weather will continue, albeit on a warming trend, cool. Not unexpected as we roll into June. So today is, of course, the 27th of May. This is Memorial Day weekend. So happy weekend to everyone. 81 degrees and the cloudy conditions are the expected area forecast. Should be very nice. Tomorrow, if it's a little warm today, it's going to be cooler tomorrow. 70 degrees, partly cloudy. Monday, a little bit warmer, 77, Memorial Day. So it might be a chilly day at the lake, but still a nice day nonetheless. Warms up beginning on Tuesday, 85, 65 for the low, 87, 67 Wednesday, 88, 67 Thursday, and is on the first day of June. And perhaps seeing 90 by this time next week. And the ever-present isolated thunderstorms out there in the end of the 7-day forecast. We do see, lows in the 50s for the next 2 nights, tonight and tomorrow night. So maybe the last time we see 50s for several months. Good. So get out there and enjoy the weather today. It should be wonderful. And if we look at the radar quickly here, I don't think there's anything to look at. I think it's just a blank map.
Screen,
It's just a blank map. So see that map? It's blank.
It's blank.
And if I blow it up big, it's blank. So no precipitation showing really anywhere in the eastern weather down there.
Oh yeah, there's
going to the Carolinas, and then out west there's a bit, but in the middle Tennessee area there is nothing. So enjoy your weekend here. And again, it is 68 degrees here in the Music City.
Yeah, you got to get your projects done today. You got to get them going.
That's 70 degrees. That's about 20 degrees cooler than normal on a Memorial weekend in the past years.
Speaking of normal, there's nothing normal about this show.
Normal.
And today we do welcome in. This is not a first time for anybody on this show, but it's the first time we've had this cast of characters in particular. And of course, Tyler Blankenship, welcome to you this morning. We'd be remiss if we didn't say that.
Josh and David. Morning, everybody.
We also want to welcome Caroline Gant in, and sitting in for Austin Lowen today, the general manager himself, Adam Chapman.
Good morning.
Yes.
And good morning,
y'all.
Hey, while we have the camera over here and we're doing our morning intros, I really quickly just want to present something to Adam. So you've been on the show a few times now.
Yes.
You're warming up. We love to see your face. And I thought it was time that you had something of your very own.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I've been
I made you at the home show mug. I drew your face on it myself.
Look,
I'm an artist. Now, if you turn it around to the other side, now I drew this without looking at the mug. I stared at your photo the whole time. So
I think it's amazing.
Congratulations,
says,
you're
will
here.
you repeat that?
Yes,
that's his
because
catchphrase.
I'm deaf.
Now, is that dishwasher safe, or do you just have to wash it by hand?
Probably have to hand wash it.
I'll never put that.
Guess.
That will never go in a dishwasher.
Yeah, don't ever put it on your
and
shelf.
it'll never have coffee in it because Adam doesn't drink coffee.
Not much.
Oh.
And there's a
Thank you,
test
Caroline.
run mug in there
Thank you.
for Rachel because I thought she probably would want one as well.
Okay, and speaking of Rachel, which is of course is the general manager, Adam Chapman's better half.
Yes,
decidedly
way better half.
This is a special day for you guys, is it not?
It is. Yes, this is our 23rd wedding anniversary. Love you, dear.
Congratulations.
You know what,
Couldn't do it without
considering
you.
that when you first considering that you were not married when you started working at Beach Nursery and Garden Center.
No, we were married.
You weren't? Were you married? I thought
Freshly
you got
married.
We were newlyweds. We were married for 4 months almost when I started
all
here.
right.
Wow.
Well, it's been so long ago, I've kind of lost
Well, I mean, you
track
might
of-
as well. You've been married 4 months. I mean, what is that? And,
That's pretty much newlyweds.
You're
Yeah.
not even out
Yeah.
of the warranty period there.
No.
So,
The
Well,
warranty
the
period.
warranty's almost up
I didn't know
now.
marriages came with a warranty.
23 years and 23 pounds ago. For
Yes.
you, I would
Yeah,
say,
for
I would
sure.
say.
Oh,
For sure.
Adam's 6'4" frame has filled out quite a bit since he first
Yes.
started. He was a
it's baby weight,
rather
David.
rather slender, tall guy, and he's still tall, just not so
as slender.
anymore. Anyway, we're glad
Wears
to have
it with
everyone
grace.
in today.
That's
Now
right.
that we've gotten all of that out of the way, Josh,
What?
we're going to be talking about all the things that people have going on this Memorial Day weekend, specifically in their gardens, maybe around their homes. I know we've got questions out there awaiting.
We do.
So why don't we proceed?
Proceed, sir.
let's get some questions in. Let's start strong with the hydrangea question, shall we?
Okay.
Yes. I have
Oh,
three
like-
young oak leaf hydrangeas that I got just a few weeks ago. All three have been hit with red-brown leaf spot. What can I do about it?
Copper fungicide.
Okay.
I mean, it's in the air. It's just going to happen because
All
it's so
around
humid
us.
here, and it spreads. When the wind blows, and it blows a lot. So,
Yes, it does.
And it's the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing that you almost have to be prepared and spray in advance because you can't make it unsplotch the affected leaves.
yeah.
You can only keep it from spreading to newer leaves that are on there. So
correct.
as you roll into this time of year and the years going forward, it's something you probably need to start spraying for.
Right,
Like in early May.
That and just good cultural practices. You know, if the infestation or the spot or whatever disease you have seems to not go away every year, you might want to do dormant oil in the winter on the stems, and then rake the leaves away and put them in a garbage bag or burn them or whatever. Just get them away from there. So
Get 'em
Plus,
gone.
there are folks who also are under the belief that the foliage needs to be watered, and it does not.
no,
No.
The
Just the
ground
roots.
needs to be watered. So if you're in a
But
habit
those
of
leaves are
using a
hot,
sprinkler,
David.
well, they may be hot and it might get
They
the
look
dust
like
off
they're
of them.
hot.
But if you do it regularly, you're going to invite those kinds of pathogens in, and it complicate the situation even more. So there's that.
Okay.
Now, for our viewers who might not know a lot about this, is this going to be detrimental to the plant?
Not
Will
usually.
these spots disappear with the treatment?
the spots won't disappear, but it's not usually detrimental. It just makes them look bad.
Look sad.
The leaf spot, yeah.
Yeah. Mine have a little bit of that right now.
So it's like a teenager with acne.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very
Great
similar.
comparison,
Almost
Josh.
exactly like
Thanks,
that.
Dad.
Fantastic. Did you call him Dad?
That was the oak leaf.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Oh, the teenage oak
No,
leaf.
it'd be-
Still
You know,
early in the
thanks,
broadcast.
Angsty judgment from
Okay.
your oak leaf, young oak leaves.
Get the face. Do
Right.
They turn their blooms up at you?
How's
Don't you
Elf?
turn those blooms up at me.
Sassy
Okay.
teenage oak leaves. So we've got one question pertaining to the freeze still. Just one lingering question. It's pretty sad Austin's not here to talk about his boxwoods today because there is a question about the boxwoods, and I know now everyone's going to be wondering,
Right.
what does Austin's boxwoods look like? I have shrubs large and small that appear to be dead. Should I give up hoping they'll make a comeback? Leyland cypress and boxwood and holly.
Well, the hollies, I think, would have shown life at this point, for sure. The boxwoods, the same. If they haven't shown any new growth anywhere, probably not going to at this point. And what was the other one?
Leland's.
Oh, Leyland's.
No.
Yeah, those guys got hammered so bad, and because they are conifers, it's even
They're not
worse.
gonna-
They're-
They're not going to recover.
No.
What about laurels?
Well, most laurels, from what I've seen, have started to come back as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
but-
mine are coming back from the base.
Yeah, but they're teeny tiny, so you got to get a new one.
Well, it really
No, they're cute now.
Oh, okay.
that's true.
They're adorable and small.
Okay.
It just depends on how well they're coming back. If they are flushing new growth pretty much all the way around the crown of the main part of the plant, that's that shows a good, vigorous desire to live.
It is not unusual. We have seen some that are even showing vegetative growth right out of the ground.
Yes.
So people who have been patient, particularly with their laurels, have saved themselves some money because, fortunately, at least in this case, they do grow very fast, and the root systems have not been injured. So the recovery will be amazing. How
I think they ought to
quick
rip
it
them
will
out
come
and get
back
new
up.
ones. Get new ones.
Well, there are people who are choosing to do that, and that's a perfectly good option. But
you've only got a few left here at the nursery. I noticed.
A few laurels left?
Yeah,
Are you insane?
A few
hundred.
Oh, there's selection here?
You might say that.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But yes, certainly laurels have finally become available, as have boxwoods, and those are two of the items or two of the groups of plants that have been the most problematic throughout the spring. Those two items in particular, those two groups of plants have both been. And the Leyland cypress is another one. It's one of those conifers that were severely affected, and conifers in general, that's a plant that has needles on it. If they looked bad through the winter, there's little chance they're going to come back out. Probably blue cedars, like I had a Horseman blue cedar at my house that came through well, but things that did not, all your Hinoki cypress, those kinds of things, they pretty much just didn't make it.
Yeah, if they're not looking good now, they won't look good.
Cryptomeria, another one that got especially hard hit, and so you're either take them out and just live with it or replace.
That's right.
There's that.
All my camellias coming back from the ground, and my osmanthus. So
well, they're broadleaf evergreens. So
and Carolina, as are mine as well. I've got both of those in the same planting area. My osmanthus are breaking hard. Camellia less so, but I think they're still going to recover.
And once they started growing, they're growing fast. All right, let's talk about a maple now. My Carnival hedge maple grew very small leaves this year. Could it be girdling roots?
Could be, but it's hard to know at this point. I mean, except if you can see it on the surface, sometimes you can see the very top of the root ball where, if it had been root bound when it was planted or whatever, you can kind of notice that. But I mean, that's one possibility, but there's several things it could be.
Yeah, so if you're listening now, and I know he's a pretty regular watching the At Home show, you can write in our comment box wherever you are watching and let us know a little more info on that so we can get more in depth with that answer. Okay, medium-sized full sun evergreen perennial that would be happy in a container.
Medium-sized full sun perennial
evergreen
in a container.
Perennial.
Full sun. Dianthus?
It's fairly, mine stayed
it's
up.
Evergreen.
Yeah, it's evergreen.
I'm just trying to think, because if it's in a container, it will need to be also very cold hardy because the roots will freeze as well.
They might
if you're
also
leaving
just
it
mean
out,
like, a conifer or something.
A conifer. Well, most conifers will do well. I mean, particularly spruces, junipers, a nice sea of gold juniper, nice splash of color, probably would do great in a container.
Nice. Yep.
I would stay away from broadleaf evergreens just because if they're going to leave the container outside, the roots will freeze, and the same thing will happen that happened in December this year.
And effectively
you
lose two hardiness zones when you plant in a container. That is to say, if a plant is a zone 5 hardy plant, which would take it up into central Illinois hardiness wise, a plant that would live there, if you put it in a container in Middle Tennessee, would likely survive in most winters. Now, I'm not sure it would have this past winter.
Right.
So what Adam's talking about, use of conifers or hardy deciduous plants that have at least a zone 5 hardiness, you can use those plants in a container and have reliable success. Broadleafs, decidedly less so because they just don't have the same level of hardiness with regard to the root system, particularly.
Correct.
There's
Tyler
that.
might have muted us for a moment.
No.
Sorry, I hit my coffee mug on my microphone. Sorry if I hurt anyone's ears. Swamp white oak planted in the fall was looking great. Now yellow leaves showing up on the inside. Question mark, question mark, question mark. What would that be?
Well, it's a swamp white oak,
Yes,
so
it
you
is.
you almost can't overwater it.
But you can underwater it?
But you could underwater it. Yeah, that's the only thing I could really think of at this point. If you planted it in the fall, it should have some roots established, but it's still a neophyte plant in that spot. So still may need, especially if you watched the beginning of the broadcast, you saw the forecast. We got rain a week ago, but that's the last time we got it, and this week doesn't look like we're going to get any. So if you've got plants out there that are less than a year in the ground, you need to water them, or at the very least check them. And on that point, and I didn't really touch on it in the forecast, but we've had great precipitation to this point in the year. We've had like more than 23 inches of rainfall. And this month we've had almost 5 inches, 4.6 something, I think, here at the nursery. And that's great for heading into summer. But with the El Nino effect coming in, we don't really know what that's going to do as far as a pattern shift precipitation wise. We just know that plants, as you just mentioned, that are in their first year of establishment, their water needs are much greater than things that are well established. So particularly on high water plants, you cannot afford the luxury of zoning out on them. You got to stay on top of the watering.
And that a lot of that rain has been very heavy in spots. We haven't had near that much at 37167 this year. So
Really?
no.
Well, who'd you make mad, Josh?
Yeah,
Did you make somebody
It's the
mad?
Nissan effect. It's the
That's
Nissan
an
effect.
open-ended question. I mean, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
Could be
What
anybody.
did you say, Josh? No telling. Ooh.
That's true.
Let's
Now,
not go over that. That would take the entire
It is
show.
the Nissan effect. I mean, the plant, we don't get snow.
What is the Nissan effect?
Well, it's that massive facility that holds heat because of all the pavement and buildings and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it
Racetrack.
can actually change. It can actually create a microclimate.
that is insane.
Oh yeah, no, it's very, very real thing.
Science.
Yep.
Wow. It's crazy.
Plus, that nuclear plant that they have out there doesn't help.
Yeah.
It's not really shielded very well. So.
Speaking of weird things, let's talk about aphids.
Aphids.
What's the
Oh.
best treatment for aphids on a tomato plant?
Release some ladybugs.
Yes, release some ladybugs. Oh, I love doing that.
Well, if you can't do that, insecticidal soap would be the next option.
And it's extremely effective.
It
And
is.
it's very fast acting, and it's a completely organic.
Yep.
And it won't injure the person who's applying it
Nope.
because it is, in fact, just
Soap.
a soap.
So
unless you're adverse to soap.
Unless you have
Yeah.
soap allergies,
Yeah.
which,
Some people
Then,
might.
then you walk around dirty a lot, I
That's-
guess.
I
For the
guess.
allergy.
non-squeamish, my favorite method right now for my aphid-ridden tomatoes is to just take my hands underneath the leaves and just squish them.
Oh, what? Do you
All
feel
the way
them pop?
down.
Yeah.
But then it's combined with the cooling sensation of whatever oils are on the tomato plant, So it's wild.
Wow.
Try it.
Interesting.
Tyler's
I find
getting
that
wild
interesting.
in his garden right now. Huh.
I feel like we almost ventured into PG-13 territory
We
right
did.
there.
Tyler, you just
Yes.
took it there.
Almost.
Almost, but not quite.
PG, it means pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, we're moving into pretty good zones, so that's cool. Aphids are kind of fun to treat. I like to just spray them off with water, which you can't really do on a tomato plant because you might destroy that plant. But I do it on like my hibiscus. If it gets on my ficus, my houseplants when I put them outside, I'm a fan of just taking some like light pressure water and
You don't
spraying
use a
them off.
pressure washer?
Yeah, a full gas-powered
Get
pressure
it up
washer.
to 100 psi.
I strip my driveway and then
Then
I
you
take
wash
it to
the
my
aphids
plants.
off.
And then I'm
Gotcha,
like, where did my
gotcha.
plants
you
go?
can
It's
prune with
crazy.
them. So, I mean,
Sure.
I guess that's true. Yeah. You're right about that. You could prune with them. That would be a wild time. Let's get one more question in,
Okay.
shall we? Looking for a plant for a high privacy hedge, not arborvitae.
There's
There's a lot of other options.
Juniper, Hetzicomer. Hemlock would be good if you got the room, for sure.
Right.
American holly, cedar hill, or even a Nellie R. Stevens holly. Those would be great. If you wanted it to be slender, Taylor juniper is probably the best option. And it's,
Is that it?
I'm sure there's more.
Well, that's a pretty good list.
Probably a lot
good
more.
list,
Yeah.
though.
Hope you guys had your pen and paper out to write all those down.
Well, just hit rewind.
Oh yeah,
Watch it
that's
over
true.
again. There's always that.
You can always rewatch.
Speaking of rewinding, sometimes you need to get a refresh on your growing conditions in your garden and in your landscape. Yeah, that's where EarthMix garden products can really make a difference for you, particularly if you're wanting to take your soil and recharge it. EarthMix Supernatural is the product that's best for that purpose. It's kind of the secret sauce that many of the other EarthMix products have as a common component. And what Supernatural does, it has the best of everything, completely organic, and it's supercharged with organic nutrition, endo and ecto mycorrhiza fungi, humic acid, all the best things that you can put in soils. EarthMix Supernatural has it. And if you're growing other things and you say, well, I need to have some soil to start out right with, what could I use? EarthMix Garden, of course, is the flagship brand of the EarthMix line, and it is a good general purpose garden product. If you're going to be planting vegetable plants or most anything else, it actually has a high percentage of native soil in it. So it is a very good product. Right out of the bag.
Dirt?
Yes.
DIRT dirt.
Now, Proganics O also has a lesser amount of native soil in it, but it is specifically for outdoor containers.
Yes, I have two little planters on my front stoop with Proganics O, and I've got Mexican heather in them, and they're awesome. I mean, I don't have to water. I'm telling you, they're not very big. They're like a 6-inch pot, and I don't have to water them, but like every 3 days.
Yeah, and the benefit of having that native soil is that it is not so light as to dry out quickly. It has the ability to retain a lot more moisture naturally without putting artificial things in there to perform that task. Now, Caroline is a big proponent of Proganics I, and that's because her domain is largely that of tropicals. And if you're looking for things to use in the house, plant-wise, Proganics I is the product you want to use for transplanting those plants. It has no peat in it. So what that gives you or prevents, more correctly, is the fungus gnats that traditionally come with it. They are very problematic. They're a nuisance, and you don't get that at all when you use Proganics I. Of course, all the other products, whereas Feragra, Magic, Sustain, Enlighten, all great products in the EarthMix line. The thing you need to do is just go out to the earthmix.net site, click on the Find EarthMix tab, and once you're there, it will bring up the entire list and map of all the different locations around Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, also in the Northern Alabama. So check all those out. You can put your address into the box for turn-by-turn directions to the location nearest you, or simply zoom in to one and see what they have as far as their inventory online. So just remember this: success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use EarthMix garden products. We appreciate you giving us a moment to talk about that and help you to be successful in your gardening efforts. We really want to help you do that with the minimal amount of effort and do it without chemical additives. So if you've got tomato plants, one of the things that helps them to be the best at defending off pest and disease is to be at a healthy state of fertility, non-chemically done. So there you go.
Very good.
Also, just for funsies, EarthMix is having a hat giveaway on Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's right. All you have to do is go to @EarthMixGarden. That's right, @EarthMixGarden on Instagram, and oh, that's a very good example, David. I'm giving away the bicolor hat. Is that there it is?
It's massive.
Wow. Oh my.
It is really large. It's not that
That
large
hat is so huge.
in real
No
life.
matter how big we have one size fits all.
That might even fit Josh's head.
Almost.
Maybe. Probably not.
So go to
gotta get a
EarthMix
haircut.
Garden on Instagram. Like the post. You'll see it's got a hat on it. Like the post. Follow us. Make sure you're following us, and then tag one friend. And you might be one of 2 winners.
Or
That's right.
you could
We're gonna
tag a
pull 2
random
winners.
person.
Yeah.
You could tag a random person if you don't
Yeah.
have any
Have to be a
friends.
friend.
Sure.
And these,
Who's
by the
also
way, are
work?
extremely high quality, stitched, monogrammed hats. These are not. These
Hey,
are not
EarthMix
something.
gear is always good stuff.
Yes,
man.
it's
My
it's-
dirt bottle is amazing.
It's got to hold up to high standards
Yep.
on the EarthMix campus.
Exactly right. So, excellent thoughts on that. And Tyler, thank
Winner
you for
is
putting that
announced
together.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Wow, they don't have a lot of time to get that in.
It's a
so
weekend
better
giveaway.
get on it.
That's right.
Wow.
Okay.
That's great. You know, I just did a houseplant refresh of my houseplants yesterday, and I used all EarthMix Proganics indoor, and they're going to be so happy. I repotted my crested bear paw fern, which is my favorite houseplant. So pictures to come.
Crested
Excellent.
air paw fern.
You got close.
Okay.
Bear paw.
Bear
It's
paw.
Bear
a
paw.
giant blue fern with ruffly little leaves. Big leaves. I said
Cool.
little, I mean big. I know, it's exciting. I know you guys are dying to see a photo. I'll send one day. Let's get back to questions. Are things growing from the ground / graft a different variety of what I originally planted? So, I mean, yeah.
In all likelihood, yes. So almost every tree that you get nowadays is grafted onto some kind of rootstock. The growers, they have numbers. They're not really. There's all kinds of rootstock for apples, for maples, for and they use specific ones. And if your tree breaks the graft and starts to sucker up from the roots or the very base, likely it is that rootstock that is coming up from there.
Very cool.
Roses are very problematic about that as well.
Yes.
In most cases, it would look out of place.
Yeah, no,
Some
I
cases.
have. So when I planted my service berries years and years ago, and then we got our dog Roxy. Shout out to Roxy. She chewed one of them to the ground, and it came back even stronger from the base, which was the rootstock. It was a autumn brilliance, but it's not an autumn brilliance anymore. It's I think it's a downy
Canadensis.
service berry. So.
There you go.
And that
There
would
it
be
is.
the straight native species?
Yes, native species, yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
And that's much more so with deciduous plants than it is with anything that might be broadleaf. We
Right.
talked about
Right.
a laurel coming up as a vegetative growth. Those are not grafted plants. So
No.
the growth that comes out of those will be true to variety. But other things that are grafted are things that have the ability to push that sucker growth out from below the graft and therefore produce a different species. Many times people will buy a rose, like a shrub rose, and they'll see, I have got white and pink flowers on it. Well, those white flowers are probably sucker growth that's coming from underneath the graft. So you can keep it. It won't hurt anything. It is robbing energy from the plant, and it's not what you intended to have. It is probably only flowers one time where other roses might be monthly or repeat bloomers. So good idea to prune that out unless you want to keep it.
Yeah, unless you just don't care.
Or you try to
one
air
other
layer.
one other plant that's really bad about it is weeping cherries. Really
Terrible
bad about
about
it. And
And they have double grafts.
yes, grafted at the roots and at the top where they put the weeping
It's a
plant
lot
on
of
top.
grafting.
And
Yes.
suckers occur from both locations.
yes.
So, but the weeping cherries are very easy to spot, particularly on the top graft, because if you
They go
see
straight
branches
up.
going, if they're going up, that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
That's wrong. That's what's
Keep
happening
sharp
on my
pruners and
weeping
cut them close.
persimmon.
Those prunists, they just love putting the branches out.
They do.
They just love going wild.
That's right.
Let's talk about
Okay.
seedlings. None of my seedlings are growing after planting in my garden bed. Why? What would cause this to happen?
Well,
She said specifically my tomatoes in a follow-up on there,
Ah,
too.
gother. Thank you, Tyler.
tomato seedlings.
Take it down.
I mean, it could be. I mean, this spring it could be that it stayed too wet to start them out there. It could be an animal ate them. A bird ate them. I mean, it could be.
I've got crazy robins that are just
Yes.
driving me nuts
Yes.
this year. I mean,
Crazy robin.
Yeah,
robins.
so-
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Flying everywhere.
Crazy robins.
Just all over the place.
Now,
They were
personally for
particularly
me,
like dill for some reason.
personally for me, when I'm starting vegetable plants from seed, I don't like to go straight to the ground with the really small seeds like tomato or those. I'd rather do those in a flat and then transplant them, rather because the conditions, as Adam was just mentioning, it can be too cool, it could be too wet, it can be a lot of things. And tomatoes, and all vegetables to some degree, but the tomatoes in particular, they like to have very even conditions. You want to have bright light, you want to have warmth, but not excessive heat. So, and you want them to be able to be watered and then give them a chance to drain thoroughly and not stand in soaking soil, particularly during their early growth stages. So you only have control over the conditions completely when you have them in a flat, so you can keep them protected from rainfall during excessively heavy rain times or when the conditions are chilly.
Yeah, so you may want to consider getting like a grow light and some flats, some seed starter flats, and getting some Organics Eye and putting it in there. And
There you go.
There
Can
it
I
is
ask a
again.
question about that? Because this is the first year that I ever tried to start anything from seed inside. Used supplemental lighting, and I started dill and some cucumbers and parsley and cilantro primarily. As I took everything outside and put it into the garden, it looks like they all got sunburned. Is it something
'Cause
that they got
They did.
sunburned?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you
That's why I talk about acclimating your houseplants when you
harden
move
them
outside.
off, Josh?
What do you put, like hardener on them, or I mean, is it?
well, you have to play Eye of the Tiger and the Rocky theme for
Okay.
them
And tie
for
a little
2
tiny
2 days
headband
straight.
around that,
Yeah, to
around
get 'em
that
out
new
there.
growth.
Okay.
And basically, you want to gently expose them gradually
to the sun.
to the
Yes.
sun because they have no idea what the sun.
Does that super sun spray,
How powerful the sun is.
high, that's SPF oil that you talk about? That's not the same thing.
I wouldn't put oil on them. No,
No.
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 Sun.
No, but
Only-
put them out.
magnified thing.
Put them outside. Put the flats outside for maybe 2-3 hours in the sun, like,
Or if you
And
could put
then-
them in a place where they're getting mottled sunlight,
Right.
start the transition and then get them hardened off to where they are tolerant of the sun. But you
Cool.
can't do that in a day.
No.
Matter of fact, it will really take you probably 10 days to 2 weeks to really do it sufficiently. And the problem exists because the plants are started in light conditions that are too low. So the need for a grow lamp at high intensity greatly reduces the incidence of that, particularly if you're starting juvenile plants inside and moving them out. Our eyes adjust so quickly to the changes in light conditions is that what appears to be bright inside comparatively is not at all bright outdoors.
So
No.
your eyes
special
adjust quickly.
high intensity
yes,
transition lights.
yes, or just do like my wife does, my lovely bride. Happy anniversary, dear.
23 years.
He's
23
working.
years.
Way to go,
she,
Rachel.
She has succulents, all kinds of houseplants, and she has this light that I swear could light up. I mean, it looks like the sun downstairs.
It's like an arc lamp.
Yes, it's. I can just hear my electric meter whirring
Just going
outside when she
crazy.
turns it on. So
Okay.
you need something like that.
Sunburning those plants. My husband put my monstera plant outside last week.
That monstera.
That monster. You know what? He was trying to be helpful. God love him. And it burned all the leaves. So I had to cut them all off. But it's fine.
So go
She
from
got
the
a
basement
haircut.
to a
It's gonna be
transition
fine.
zone to the mud porch to the yard. Okay.
There is a reason why one of you works at a nursery and the other one works in the world of film.
A film, correct. Yes.
Film?
He understands lighting in a much different way than I do.
Yes.
A way that I don't understand it.
Right.
Voltage, plugging stuff in, I'd never get it. Let's get back to some questions.
Okay.
Is it too late to mess around with lettuces in a raised bed?
Yeah. Mine is, I'm holding on to my romaine and my butter crunch, but I need to pull them. It's getting too hot.
Oh, snails.
Now,
will
the
get
only
it
thing is,
anyway.
if you were wanting to collect seed, you could
Do it now.
Would you have a
yeah.
chance for that?
You want to let
Yeah.
it go seed, yeah.
My
Let it
romaine is
bloom.
just kind of sitting there, but it's time to pull it up.
Well,
Cut it up.
you know,
Sure.
the milder temperatures has actually made it pretty great.
Oh, sure. I
Like-
normally I would have pulled them probably 3 weeks ago.
And
but-
and mine would have bolted. I've got mine on my back step, which is south facing, but it's also shielded by a mandevilla. So from the south. So it's got this like mixed lighting, and it's just this happy little bunch of lettuce, and we're still picking on it. But usually it's bolted now.
Right.
So if yours has bolted, don't eat it.
No,
And
it's going to be really bitter at that
you can
point.
just, like David said, just let it go to seed and then collect the seeds and sow more lettuce closer to the fall.
There
I
you
love
go.
growing lettuce. Okay, let's take a turn from lettuce and talk
Turn.
about shrubs again.
Let us turn.
Let us turn. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Where's the sound effect board for that one, Tyler?
It should be like the sound of a car screeching trying to turn.
Well, you know,
got
what
it.
I like to, with regard to that, if you're having problems, you can say, let us spray.
Oh, the lettuce spray.
There you go.
Yes, you can. Wow.
Great.
All right, we got to get some more sound effects going in the studio
Couldn't hurt,
soon.
right?
No.
What are some recommendations for plants and shrubs in a small area that get full sun, but not boxwoods? So good thing Austin's not here because that's what he would want to talk about. What would you think?
He would not have been. He would only have talked about.
He'd
boxwood.
just be like,
oh yeah, right.
He'd just be like jumping up and down, like, no.
Don't want a boxwood, you ain't getting nothing.
Well, I would say dwarf abelia, like
That's a good
think of
choice.
Little Richard and Rose Creek.
Good God.
Good, exactly. And
Is Canyon Creek considered a dwarf or no?
it is, but it's kind of gold looking, you know. on the
Canyon
top.
Creek is my favorite.
It's a good one too.
So
yeah.
good.
You know, some kind of dwarf holly. If you want evergreen, just green, you could do like a Carissa holly or Hugendorn.
Soft touch,
or
maybe?
Soft touch, yeah. And what
Blue
else?
star juniper, maybe?
Yeah, you could do blue star and that sea of gold I was talking about earlier. You could do
Yep.
that too if you want some gold color.
What do you
for
think?
everything.
What do you think about the euonymus that's really small, like with the really small leaves? Is that one also kind of small, or does that get big?
You don't want to know my thoughts on euonymus because they're not good.
Okay, I
They're
brought
not
I think
good.
I feel the
brought it
same
up.
way. I think
And
the
they don't
same.
really stay small.
No,
I mean,
none of them do.
They ultimately they'll go through some Frankenstein phase
Yes.
where they transform into something that they didn't look like they could possibly become.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I
they're
see.
yeah, and
Deceptive.
for people who have extreme problems with euonymus, there are meetings for that called euonymus anonymous meeting.
Yeah.
That will help you
Soundboard,
to deal
Tyler.
with those issues. So.
I've got claps. I've got explosions.
You got clap?
Yeah.
Okay.
The next
Shut up, audience.
the next meeting, by the way, for Euonymus Anonymous is on June 31st.
Really
Okay.
Just so everybody
June.
knows.
good to know.
June 31st.
At the
Yes.
nursery?
Actually, it's June 31st every year.
Exactly.
There's not 31 days in June. I get it.
Oh,
I was like, am I missing
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
here?
I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid.
That's right, Tyler. Okay, so let's talk about some Russian sage. Russian sage blooms are brown. Do you cut those back at this point?
yeah, sure.
I did that actually
yeah.
3 days ago, and it had little buds already down on the stems, and it's starting to really push new out. So it's about to bloom again.
Yes. Another plant that's very similar is that I have that's about to go out of bloom is Nepido, Walker's Low. Very similar
Catnip.
blooms.
I love
Mine's
mine.
bloomed.
So
It's been blooming
pretty.
for like 6 weeks.
Really, mine has not
Yeah.
been blooming that long. I'd say like
Insane.
4,
So
maybe 3.
speaking of that, are we going to do?
I'd say when you cut a plant after it looks sad, it's almost like it says
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to be beautiful again.
Exactly.
Going to rejuvenate. Hey,
Yep.
speaking of being beautiful again, if you've got things that are not quite as beautiful as you like, hey, we know a place where you can come take care of that. It's called Bates Nursery and Garden Center.
Yep.
here where we are broadcasting today. And whether you're come in to the nursery physically or you order online, we have everything we sell is available. Now, our weekend web orders is where we've run into issues during this season, which has been where the demand has been so high. We are unable to pull these orders on demand. You can place them, but we don't get them pulled until the beginning of the next week. So if you order over the weekend, that's fine, but we may not have them, and we likely won't have them ready until early in the following week. Actually, that applies all the time. It's a 48 to 72 hour wait whenever you order web orders. So if you need to get it right now, then you got to physically come see us. That's out at 3810 Whites Creek Pike, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. And what you will find when you come out to see Bates Nursery's Garden Center, in addition to this plethora of expertise like we have on hand today, you will see equally a multitude of different kinds of plants, things you didn't even know existed. And you're going to get a variety of options generally for any landscape situation you're dealing with.
It's true.
Whether it's sun or shade, or you need something tall or something wide or something low on the ground, or whether you want it to flower through the summer or just in its season, or if you want to replant every year, or maybe a grassy look, fruit trees, shade trees, ornamental trees, you name it, we have it at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. And when you bring photographs out on your smartphone or your tablet of your particular landscape situation, it gives us insight into what you're working on, and that gives us a much better opportunity to help you to get the right plant in the right place the first time, because that's the way we do it here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. We're, this landscape-aside thing that you see happen frequently elsewhere, we really try to help you avoid that by having a plan to what you're doing. And it's okay to impulse buy some things and have a spot here and there, but you're going to get your best use of your hard-earned money if you put some kind of a plan together and think about what is going where. If you have a plant that has been planted and it's gotten way too tall or way too wide for the area you have, that's kind of an indication of perhaps you didn't plan enough in advance. One of the most common mistakes are corner plants, where people buy them when they're small and somehow don't anticipate how big they're going to grow. So little things like that is what makes the difference at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, where since 1932, our 91st year in business.
That's a long time.
Where my grandmother started our little endeavor back on 26th and Charlotte. In the height of the Depression, we've been continuing to bring plants to Middle Tennessee. And we've got big promotions going on this weekend. I'll quickly talk about our new blog post that came out this weekend. It's our Memorial Magnificence. We've got vegetable plants, all vegetable plants, 50% off through the end of the month. That will be on Wednesday. And in addition to that, so that you get the best result out of those plants, EarthMix Garden in bags, also 50% off. That's the Bates Rewards members only. So if you're not a member, it just takes 30 seconds to sign up. It's just a matter of us keeping you apprised of what is happening in your gardening world. Additionally, in here, you'll find links talking about the things that we've gotten in the past week that have been in short supply, namely skip laurels and boxwood. So there's links throughout here. So if you receive the newsletter already, you can just click on your newsletter, or you can go to batesnursery.com and click on the blog post. And all those links are also in there, including links to our show here and how you submit questions. So all said, we want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve your horticultural needs. We will be open until 4 o'clock today, noon until 4 tomorrow. And going to open an hour earlier this Memorial Day, 8 a.m. until noon. We do close at noon on Memorial Day. So come see us early on Memorial Day. If you're going to get out and shop, it's going to be wonderful gardening weather. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932. And we thank you for giving us a moment to talk about that and to help you with your gardening efforts.
But David, you're really underselling this, because this is the finest garden center in Middle Tennessee. I come out here.
I would say nary the world.
Nary the world.
I
It could
agree
be
with
it
that.
could qualify, but you have to come out here to really appreciate how nice this place is. I mean, it's amazing to me every Saturday morning when I drive in. You see something new and you see something beautiful. Massive Monrovia magnolias.
Oh yeah,
a massive.
And that's one. They're blooming.
Yeah.
Magnolias are blooming everywhere right now. So
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, they're easily 10 feet tall.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And it's unbelievable, folks. You got to come and see. I mean, I'm telling you.
And
it's
think
worth
about
it.
think about this: for under $10,
Under
you could get a
$10.
bag of garden,
Yes.
slice it open on the top, on the non-printed side, and plant one of your favorite plants. And you could have a little mini garden, a little micro garden.
Vegetable plants right in
Boom,
top.
right there.
You know, because
Stick
half
one
off is
tomato plant in
yeah.
there. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
basically half off is buy one, get one free. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes,
Exactly.
if you think
That's
about
what that
it.
means.
Yeah.
You're very smart that way, Josh. You figured that right out.
I'm cute
You
too.
did. Smart and adorable.
Yes.
Double threat
Okay.
right over there. Uh-oh. Okay,
All right.
let's get some more questions in before we run out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Rabbits are eating my rudbeckia. What will deter them but not attract my dogs?
Well, you got to use liquid fence. That's the problem with liquid fence is every time it rains, you got to
It
reapply it.
washes away.
It's a liquid.
Yes, it is a liquid. Now, there are other ways.
Talk to the dang dog, man. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
come on, dog.
Get him
Get
to do
the
his
dang
job
rabbit. Huh?
to keep the rabbits out.
Yeah.
That's primarily I mean, you can try to trap them and move them or whatever, but the rabbits, they're there's a million
Buddies.
a million
They're
of
there.
them.
They,
Yeah.
they do that
There's a
thing
lot.
that rabbits do.
Which
A
is
lot.
multiply.
Multiply.
Yes. So really, liquid fence, unless you're willing to, in an area where you can use a pellet gun or something like that to actually take them out.
That sounds so sad.
Well, you can make a stew with them. I'm sure it'd be
That's
pretty good.
true. Yeah.
But that's pretty much it.
Gloves.
Make gloves out of them.
Line gloves.
You could do that.
Mm-hmm.
My
I
family
hear-
likes to eat rabbit every Easter.
I hear
Wonderful.
their feet are lucky. That's what I've heard.
That's what I've seen at the souvenir shops in Gatlinburg. You're right about that.
Except
Hey,
for
let's
the
talk
rabbit.
about some hollyhocks. This seems to be a
Oh,
hot
boy.
trend right now. I'd say this is probably the 5th time I've heard this question asked in the last week, maybe 2 weeks. Best advice for getting rid of rust on my hollyhocks.
Well,
WD-40? No, that won't work.
Wait a
That's a
minute.
different
That
one
sounds
anyway,
wrong.
different rust.
Different type of rust.
I would say once again, copper fungicide to keep it from spreading, but it is something that is also airborne. So it's also good cultural practices. When you're cleaning up your beds in the late fall, early winter, and you've noticed some infestations of things, then you want to get all the dead leaves out of there.
Seems folks want to plant those really close together too.
They do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
They get big.
Now, is rust best controlled with a copper fungicide, or is there any benefit to having more than one type of fungicide?
Yeah, sure.
and
You
rotating.
could. You could. I guess if you can still. I don't even know if they still sell Daconil, but that was a good product back in the day. But,
Yes, it was.
I don't think so.
you could also. I suppose you could also use neem oil if you wanted to use that. That would be another organic one to use.
I love the mouth signals that Tyler's giving Caroline. Yeah. Not off camera, on camera. Right. Inside the studio with
yes,
Tyler
some
Blake.
hijinks.
We're
Some
trying.
hijinks.
We're trying to coordinate the Saturday
Questions?
shout out images. No, I'm looking for the Saturday shout out images that Caroline.
I
sent.
airdropped them to you 2 weeks ago. In your
2
phone.
weeks ago.
So it
There
should be
it
in your
is.
phone.
Okay.
2.5 weeks.
Anyway, y'all continue. We're fine. We're
I think I'm
know.
done. I think that's.
We were
pretty
taking
much-
care
Other-
of business.
Other questions? And there are
Oh, yeah.
some nice
Oh, yeah.
hollyhocks. There are some nice hollyhocks right there on either side of you guys, are there not?
Gorgeous.
No, these are
foxglove.
foxglove.
Foxglove, that's digitalis.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
But we
Good for
did
your
look
heart.
at Kim Bradley's hollyhocks, correct, last week before last.
We did.
In
Uh-huh.
our Saturday
That's right.
shout out. They were gorgeous. So again, another shout out to Kim Bradley's hollyhocks because they were amazing. I have one hollyhock plant from the seeds I planted last year, but it looks fantastic.
Huh.
All right. How
Was
do you
it-
kill weeds without killing plants and getting cancer? Using your hands to pull them out and kill
That's
them
a
with
great
the air.
answer, Caroline.
Thank
Great
you.
answer.
Thank you. I do it every day, actually. I weed
Yeah.
my garden every single day.
Yeah. Now, you can different methods like newspaper, putting stuff down
That's
in
so
the bed.
pretty.
They come back, though.
I mean, cardboard, whatever you want to try to do to get but really there's no substitute for just pulling weeds.
Yeah, the problem with
kinda
any
therapeutic.
kind of a material that you will use as a barrier to light, it works really well on weeds that come from seed, but
Yes.
but rhizomaceous roots,
They
Yeah.
just
They'll just
keep
go
going.
around
Is
it.
using bad words again?
it will if there's a solitary crack of light, it will find it, and there will be a solitary crack of light, and then you'll have the weeds coming up precisely where you don't want them, which is right beside the plant.
Like
Yeah.
Bermuda
So
grass at the corner of my raised bed.
Yep.
Creeping Charlie. Jeez, it's awful this year.
Yep. But you just
Now, there's one other method if you're talking about applications for weed control that are in a non-vegetative, where you have plants growing around it, is the torches actually burning them out.
Yep.
If it's a driveway or some other area where that you don't have to be concerned about the heat damage to the things around it, for a driveway use, that works really well. And it's kind of fun.
You and
Gives
fire.
gives you the chance to use that propane tank for something else than grilling burgers. But
I-
probably this weekend you're already committed
To the
towards
burgers.
grilling burgers.
Yes.
That's why I have 2 tanks, one for my flamethrower and one for my grill.
Oh, Tyler.
always prepared.
That
Yes.
makes sense.
Got to keep the driveway clear.
All right. Did
Well,
you find those photos?
our
Yes, I
favorite
did.
toy on Spaceballs, the
The
flamethrower.
flamethrower.
The kids
Yes.
love it.
Kids,
So-
they love it.
Yeah, Caroline.
Hey.
If you want to go
Hey.
ahead and start that intro, I've got to get the images over
All
here.
right, so Tyler did find our images for the Saturday shout out. So
This
it's
is
where
where
we
we're-
feature a yes, Josh.
Go ahead.
Where we feature a viewer's garden or a plant specimen that's in their garden, something that they're proud of. So this week, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're gonna feature Risha
Oliphant?
sent us some magnolia pictures. So Tyler is pulling
nice.
those up right now. 5. There it is. Ah,
Beautiful.
look at that.
Beautiful.
So what kind? Do you know what kind of magnolia
I
this is?
can't tell. It looks like
They have
little
little-
Jim.
Little Jim, I
Yeah.
believe is what it
Be,
is.
be my guest. Good way to go, Josh.
No,
Good
I know
confirmation.
Risha. I know
Wow.
so Risha's a friend. So, but no, she had asked about these several weeks ago when you recommended that we put some fertilizer around the base to get them going, looking good again. So,
Yep.
she, long time listener to the At Home Show. So,
Excellent.
They
now
look
how
great.
do
I bet they
people
smell
submit these
amazing.
photographs?
Tyler,
They
take it
can
away.
email the at home.
Hey, David.
Whoa. Get out of here.
Whoa, where'd you come from?
They can email at home show jcdb at gmail.com.
At Home Show.
JC Josh Carey DB
DB.
David Bates at gmail.com.
Uh-huh.
That's correct.
Okay.
Renee wants to know
should
if
be-
you can use a curling or a flat iron for killing weeds. Gotta have a long
If you have-
cord.
A really long
Yeah,
cord.
really
Yeah.
long
Would
cord.
a sustained press on them maybe?
You'd have to open it and just hold it on those blades.
The crimping thing that the girls use that makes
Yes.
the hair all go.
I still have my crimper.
Do you
From
really?
the 90s.
Oh,
yes,
cool.
yeah,
I
that was
do.
all the rage.
Uh-huh. Still
Nice.
got it. Maybe one day I'll break it out. I could break it out, weeding my garden bed. I've never tried to use a flat iron to get rid of weeds, so seems like
It's worth a shot, I think.
it would
I think
take a
it's worth
really
shot.
long
Soldering
time.
iron? Yeah. that
It
might-
would, yeah.
you have to be really
Grueling,
precise.
excruciatingly long.
All right, let's talk about use, y'all.
Use?
Are there
Use?
use
Who's
that
use?
do?
Use,
Who's
y'all.
use?
Use.
What?
Use guys?
They use guys.
Use
Where's it at?
guys. Use guys. Are you ready for this?
Uh-huh.
Are there ewes that do not have that yellowy colored new growth? If so, which? Not that I know of.
Are they talking about the blooms and the pollen? Maybe. That's
No,
what I
their
think.
new growth is usually kind of yellow.
It's
as it
almost
comes
lime
out.
green.
Well, it
isn't
is lime green, but I wouldn't say it's. I mean,
Well, like
personally,
I
wouldn't
think
say
a
it's-
lighter color. Like is there
Yellow
one
is
that
in
has
front of
new
you.
growth
Yeah,
that's
they're
the same
well, they're
color?
all gonna have every taxus that I know of. The new growth is a light green, and then as it ages, it turns the nice dark deep green.
I wonder
So-
if they
There-
can't stand the contrast.
That sounds like
there
it.
is a golden taxus, golden yew that does produce a golden flush, but those are pretty rare.
Yeah, I don't think they're very
I
common.
would be unlikely they would have that.
Yeah.
The new growth is with any plant is always a much lighter color than the mature foliage. So
I think it's
it
the
doesn't matter if
prettiest
you're
part
talking
of the
about
tree.
a conifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be anything. So I think that's just part of what you see, and the new growth is letting
Now-
you know that the old growth will follow.
Right. Now, if it is yellow, and it's not supposed to be, then it could be deficient in some nutrient, iron or some other micronutrient. But you can take care of that. Just put some polytone on them. Usually, greens them right up. So.
I love my yews.
Juice.
They're great. They're also poisonous, so that's fun. All right, let's talk
Wait, don't
about
eat
a
'em.
garden
Yeah.
pest. Yeah, don't eat them.
No.
Don't feed them to your family. That would be bad. So this listener did bleep themselves, so that's nice. Bleeping earwigs. So it sounds like they're really upset, all in caps. How can I rid them from my life? What do you do?
I feel your pain.
Those are spooky little looking insects.
Yeah. Once again, probably, neem oil is probably in good cultural practices. Once again, just in the wintertime, you can either use neem oil or dormant oil to get rid of any latent, eggs that might be on the plant. And, that'll help with any insect, not just them. And then, once again, the leaves that have fallen off or, any part of the plant that's, dead, prune it out, break it out, get it away.
Get it up.
Clean it up, buttercup.
And as David mentioned earlier, a healthy plant is way better able to fend off insects. So, make them as healthy as you can. So
Earwigs, they like it moist and shady with lots of places to hide.
Yeah.
And they will typically make these like big colonies all together wherever they can find that space. So maybe, for example, a friend I know had saucers underneath. I'm not going to go into specifics.
Okay.
It takes too long.
Okay.
So they had a water dish underneath their potted plant, and it was on a riser, and you lift up the potted plant and the dish, and the earwigs were hiding underneath there,
Ew.
in the cracks, in the shadows. But then at night, because they are nocturnal, they come out and then they start feeding, usually on dead plant material, but then it goes live.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wow.
And they were feeding. I caught them feeding on my citrus, actually.
What did you do
Oh.
about it?
Well, I couldn't.
First you cried.
Well, I had to get them away from the situation first of all, because
Yes, you
they
did.
don't like it dry and hot and with a ton of light. So I had to get them away from those conditions, which they were hiding in like gravel. That was a kind of a natural drain sink bed in my property, and that cleared it up. So
Wow.
There you go.
I did not try to chemically remove them though.
Yeah.
But if
But
you
did
did-
you get rid of them that way?
Yeah,
They gone? Cool.
more or less, yes.
Good work, Tyler.
Very
Right, we got
good.
one more question
Okay.
for our Saturday morning broadcast. White cloud grass planted in November 2022 doesn't have much growth. What can I do?
So that is a muley grass, I believe, the white blooming one. Probably, if I had to guess, it was negatively affected by the freeze that we had. Because muley grass is native to the continental United States, but not Tennessee. It's usually coastal areas where it's native to. So it's not used to that big of a plunge that quickly and that cold. So as long as it's still alive, I think you're doing well. Just, kind of.
They also are not great in really wet spots.
Correct.
So if for some reason the drainage changed into this area, where it was staying wet for extended periods of time, that can be problematic on muley grasses. And there we go.
All right.
All righty. Well, the music.
Well, Josh,
Well,
one
David.
more out of the way here.
Okay,
Quick.
one more. Huh? So, everybody, if you're going to go out and go to Party Cove on your boat, wear your life jacket. If you're
Yes,
out on
please.
anywhere, always wear your life jacket if you're on
Don't
the
do
water.
stupid.
And let somebody
Don't
know where you're
do
going.
stupid.
Yes, if you're going hiking, don't
Yes.
hike alone.
Ever. So, but folks, because we say these things because we want you to come back next Saturday morning for another
Yes.
at-home
Absolutely.
show. Okay. Hey, if you're out there on social media, like, share, subscribe, tell the neighbors, wake the dog, do everything and let us know because we want to continue to do the at-home show, and I think we're going to. Pretty
Absolutely.
sure we're going to. Thanks for being here. Be safe. Happy Memorial Day.